Because it's extreme!
Stop into it!
So how about this steaming pile?
Smear a little Vaseline on the lens for this one.
They're killing her!
Count Chocula.
Your giant robots are like bacon. It's
Stop into it!
magnificent in its cringiness.
Miyagi!
Glorious in its ridiculousness.
Beady, beady, beady. Stop into it!
Tropiest, tropetastic, prototropiest.
Oh, damn, I did it!
Broadcasting live from inside the power band. This is The Blah. In this episode, everybody dies. I'm your... Sorry. I was about to start coming up with like really stupid Greek god names for all of us, like everybody in this stupid movie.
Do.
Oh, really? I'm your host, Mulvacles.
The Impervious.
The Impervious. Along with Jarhegion the Great. Jarhegron the Great. And Chadicles the Wise. Oh my goodness. Wow. Might be my all-time worst crash and burn in the first 10 seconds of the show.
Hey,
folks, that's right.
crash
Sorry,
and
this
burn.
week we're talking about...
Crash and burn, man.
Up.
That's right, folks. This week we're talking about the
Ultra popular blockbuster.
1980 Who Cares ultra popular blockbuster Robot Jox.
With an X.
With an X, because it's extreme.
So 1990.
I know, it's almost like they looked deeper into the 90s and they were like, I think everything's going to be extreme in the 90s. Let's spell it with an X.
They weren't wrong.
They weren't.
They were wrong about everything in this movie except how extreme the 90s were going to be.
I know, because we got extreme nacho Doritos, we had extreme Mountain Dew, we had extreme jelly, extreme ketchup, purple ketchup that was extreme. I mean, like everything in the 90s was freaking extreme, dude. The Slim Jims, oh my God, they were freaking extreme, right? Any kind of like...
Stop into it!
Yeah, exactly.
Stop to a Slim Jim!
Any kind of snack item for people in their mid-20s was extreme.
And speaking of snack items...
Speaking of snacking...
Yes, Chadicles.
Is that our Dennehy lead-in?
That is the Dennehy segue.
Okay, here it goes. Folks, last week we spoke at length about an excellent film, First Blood, starring Sylvester Stallone and Bryan Dennehy and Richard Crenna. We also had a segment in the show where I brought up Bryan Dennehy's fitness in a very humorous way, and Chad and Ben, like a pack of hyenas, just tore it apart. And, we kind of went on about it. After the fact, we realized that Bryan Dennehy had passed away just 2 months ago, and we just wanted to spend a second saying that we were not trying to be hurtful or mean in any way. We were just doing what we usually do. And these two were riffing off of what I said, and we kind of went on about it. It became kind of a joke in the show, but it wasn't intended to be anything horrible. We absolutely love Bryan Dennehy, and we wanted to take a second and just recognize what a fantastic talent and actor he was, and that we were sorry that he did pass. I certainly was. He was one of my favorite actors as a kid growing up. So, sorry for the loss of Bryan Dennehy. He was a great actor and a great guy.
Sure. And just, my 2 cents is we're not trying to be precious here about anything, but like we didn't realize just how recently he had passed away. And so I just wanted to make it crystal clear that we were just fucking around and we love him.
Yeah, I absolutely love Bryan Dennehy. He's top-notch, man. And, these jokes weren't really about Bryan Dennehy. We were just making fun of Kev and his, observation. And, the point of this podcast is it's not really a movie review podcast. It's a conversation about film. And, we're trying to make each other laugh while this stuff is going on. So it's only in that spirit that we were making those jokes. And we really don't mean to fat shame or anything along those lines. I'm kind of fat myself. So, I think I hope everybody appreciates the spirit that we were in there, and that these things were not meant to be hurtful to anybody, especially Bryan Dennehy, because we love him.
Love him.
And similar to other comments we've made in the past with various topics that are a little bit outside our wheelhouse, like I think The Watchmen comes to mind. Where it's like if there's anything that you feel like is outside of bounds, just hit us up, let us know. we'd love some feedback, even if it's feedback about crossing lines, just because the only way we figure out, where these boundaries are is by exploring them a little bit, and that's kind of what comedy's all about.
Yes, indeed. Well said, gents.
So how about this steaming pile of monkey shit?
Oh, my God. So this was a listener request from Ven23 on Instagram. This movie is so bad. Now, we've done numerous sort of marginally good films. We've done some films that are literally so bad they're awesome. And we've done a few that are just terrible. This movie is so bad, you can't even find it to watch it, which says a lot. I was surprised Chad was kind enough to give me a copy of this film, and I was surprised that this was in, quote, HD Blu-ray quality when I watched it. And I don't know if that helped this movie at all. I was surprised when I was doing my research that there was a 2015 Blu-ray release of this movie, which sort of baffled my mind. I think it probably looks best on VHS, to be honest with you.
No question.
Probably.
Yeah. You smear a little Vaseline on the lens for this one.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I mean, it's got some, there's some, like, fairly well-known, a couple of well-known actors in this movie, and a couple of, a lot of character actors that did a lot of work through the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And there are, to be fair, some kind of cool concepts in the movie, but all in all, it pretty much sucks.
I don't know about that. I disagree.
No, it doesn't pretty much suck.
This one for me, like, when Ven recommended it, I was like, what? And looked it up and then realized it was a movie that I had watched a bunch of times as a kid. So, like, I was like, oh, yeah, I loved that movie when I was a kid. And clearly this is proof of how dumb people are as kids, because, wow. But, when it first got going, I was like, holy shit, this is bad. And then, like, I cracked up quite a few times with the ridiculousness in this one. So there were definitely some moments, for sure. But Benny, offline, you were saying that you were like, how are we going to do a show about this? Can we just do a MST3K style show? And I thought that was a hilarious approach to it, because it kind of begs for that kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know if that's been done, but I think MST3K should do this movie. It would be terrific.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
It is a top candidate.
Yeah, this was a laced steak wrapped in poorly doctored motorcycle gear.
And burnt leathery bacon.
And burnt leathery bacon. It was like eating a lobster without, like, shelling it first.
Ugh. Wow.
The only thing I can say for it is it was kind of mercifully short.
It was. Yeah, it was. And because it was so terrible, there was a lot of humor to find in it. I certainly did,
I don't know, man. I feel like if this had some kind of, creature double feature sort of nostalgia thing going on for me, then I think I would have found it funnier. But I just have no connection to this movie at all.
And nor were you able to make one either.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if I watched it, like, just, many, many more times, and perhaps consumed copious quantities of edible marijuana products, I might find it really funny. But
and somebody was holding you at gunpoint.
Well, they would have to. Yeah.
I don't even know where to start. Like, I kind of feel like a non play-by-play would make some sense, just in the sense that, like, just the way this thing unfolds is so fucking ridiculous.
I have 3 notes. Count Chocula.
I'm hanging on the edge, waiting for the next one.
Yeah,
dude.
me too, man. This is definitely the way we're starting this show.
Oh my god. Chainsaw Penis.
Oh, Chainsaw Penis is one of my notes too. Yep.
Really
Chainsaw
great.
Penis and female Christopher Walken.
She is such a Christopher Walken hairdo. Oh my god, that's amazing.
And stupid rat tail ponytails. Yeah.
Now, are you talking about?
I'm talking about
Anne Marie Johnson,
Professor Laplace.
She's the Walken, the female Walken.
Female Walken. Yeah.
Okay. I was just making sure.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the main girl's hairdo, which looks just like a old school walking hairdo.
No, I mean and reaction shots.
Oh my God, those were so good. I mean, like priceless. Okay, now here's what we're gonna need you to do for this scene. We need to get a couple of takes of you reacting. So we want you to sit there and hold your fists up by your face and make it look like you're taking a hurdy poo and shake. If you could shake a lot.
They're killing her.
Oh
my God.
my Gen Jocks. They're killing my Gen Jocks. They're killing one of my tubies.
I get kind of more of a Jane Goodall vibe with that lady, so that's kind of where I went with it.
It's a quick gut when you first see her. I'm like, oh my God, she looks like Christopher Walken. Like,
oh man. So we should probably give a synopsis of this shit
I was
sandwich.
gonna say, yeah.
Otherwise, the 3 other humans on Earth that watched this movie when it came out and had access to it are going to be the only ones that can follow along here.
May I do the synopsis?
Oh,
this time?
please.
sure. But by the way, this is apparently a cult classic of sorts.
Oh, it absolutely is.
There is a group of dedicated followers for this movie. So
You have to be in
no
a
doubt.
cult to like it, I think, right?
I don't know, maybe.
Well, I want to just comment to Ben's point quickly that when I was looking for this movie to watch, you can find it on DVD and VHS, but the copies go for upwards of $150 to $250. So yeah,
What?
something is going on with this movie. Like people, like this has become a, sort of a holy grail, I think, bad movie for nerds like us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I don't think people are watching it because they think it's like a classic and it's amazing.
No.
People watch it because it's
Most
they
definitely
think it's
not.
really funny. Yeah,
I kind of want there to be a group of people that watch it because they love it and think it's the best thing ever.
me too. And I hope they wear spandex suits and have weird little rat tail ponytails.
Oh my god. I might need to change my first live show costume from a Pokemon onesie to a Robot Jox outfit.
Okay, so my first,
I think we should all have them.
Oh,
yeah, first live show, mine will be the super tight version with no sleeves.
oh hell yeah.
That was my favorite one, like with the kind of sateen finish on it. It was like a little
Okay.
shiny, Ben's like,
I think I'll go with I'll go with the silvery one.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I kind of want to go with the silvery one too, but at the same time, maybe I'll go with like an Alexander Russian black and yellow one or something.
Ooh. So are we going to get to the synopsis here?
Yeah, and we'll get back. We'll spend more time on the fashion because that's definitely a huge part of this film.
Definitely.
All right, here's my synopsis. The future. The world is in a post-apocalyptic nightmare. There are 2 factions that rule the planet. The Market and the Confederation. And that is where we start. War has been outlawed at this point after the nuclear holocaust of World War III. All disputes over any kind of territory are fought by giant robots. We have Gary Graham, Achilles of the Market. It is the Market, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He is going to fight Alexander of the Confederation over the territory of Alaska. And that's sort of really what the story revolves around, except that Anne-Marie Johnson is a genetically engineered robot jock as opposed to Gary Graham, who's an old school regular human jock. And there's a sort of side plot where the Gen Jocks, as they're called, are thinking that they would be better as robot jocks. And then it turns out that is not the case. And then a giant battle ensues at the end. And
The villain throws himself to his death. Geronimo!
yeah, the real villain kind of throws himself to his death. But then the 2 main Robot Jock gladiators, you know, they do like a hand holding kind of everything's okay at the end, which is great. And that might have been a little bit of a mess, but this movie is a lot of a mess. So I did the best I could.
Oh man.
Yeah, of all the synopses he's decides to mess up, that's a good one to do.
Thank you.
Sure.
I did my best.
Yeah. I think you could have stopped like after the initial description, but that's okay. I think giving everybody all of this, because they probably won't be able to see it, so we may as well describe it in as great a detail as possible.
Yeah, that's a good point, Ben. That's a really good point.
To flesh out some of the visuals a little bit, it's a 1989 movie, and like all of the robot fights kind of have like a Gundam anime, you know, inspiration, but it's not animated, so it's just claymation style practical effects, which
Stop motion.
Yeah, exactly. Stop motion, which like kind of has some charm to it and kind of looks like the worst thing in the goddamn world. So
No, there's some redeeming qualities about this movie. I appreciate a lot of what they were trying to do here too. I mean, I think what the folks at home may not realize is that this movie was actually remade. It was called Pacific Rim.
that movie sucked. Oh.
Oh, let's not forget Pacific Rim Uprising and also Atlantic Rim. That one. There you go. That Atlantic Rim is probably the remake of this movie.
Yeah, could somebody please make a good giant robot movie? I mean, there's the Iron Giant, but that's kind of a different thing. So
that's an animated movie about a alien and a little boy, like E.T.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm amazed that we don't have a good Gundam style giant robot movie.
I know. It's so funny how, like, in these movies, because I've seen Pacific Rim, like, it's funny how, like, they never seem to get, like, the interface right, like how the humans drive the robots, or it's overly complicated, or it's just kind of jankety. You know what I mean? Like, even like Pacific Rim, it was like there was one robot that had a pair of twins, and they were like mentally linked, and like, you know, it just seemed kind of awkward. And in this, it was like
the treadmill.
When you start,
it's so good.
Well, when you start, I wrote, one of my notes was, you know, moonwalking in place. So like that's what Gary Graham starts doing when he jumps in the quote cockpit of this giant robot, is he starts doing the moonwalk in place, and that's how the mech starts to move forward.
I just remember being so stoked with this when I was a kid. Like,
yeah, tell us about that, Chad. Let's start there.
I don't really have a firm recollection other than like what comes to mind is video games of the 80s, where like the only thing that you gave a shit about as a maybe a 9-ish-year-old was like graphics. You're like, the fucking graphics on this is so good.
Oh, sick.
It makes no difference if the game is any good when you're that stupid and young. And
sure. Well, I mean, it was also a condition of just what was going on with games at that time. Like, there were some games that were like pushing the boundaries of looking good.
Yeah.
But they were fucking horrible games.
Yeah, because you couldn't play them.
Yeah.
But I've heard from some other podcasts that I listen to, people talking about their teenage kids, and they have the same attitude now, where they're like, they wouldn't possibly play what would be considered one of the greater games of all time that came out in the PS2 or N64 era because the graphics aren't as good as the latest and greatest whatever stupid shit. And like, so I feel like it continues to this day to a certain degree. But I have this visceral recollection of this being like awesome visually. And so like just how not awesome visually it is now looking at it is either a testament to how far we've come, or I was just like completely being a moronic child when I watched this, because, you know, even if you just pretend the plot is good, the visuals, while interesting, are not overly earth-shattering.
Oh my God. No, they're terrible, dude. It's a visual, how to describe such a dish.
It's got like a Superman-y, like original Superman-y compositing frames together, matte painting-y kind of vibe to it, but it's 1989, you know, so.
Not 1980, or 78 rather, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, yeah.
And a lot of models, like miniature model kind of looks, you know?
Oh my God. And stop motion animation, literally.
Yeah.
Which I haven't seen that in a long time, because now it's all CGI, but like, Yeah, this is pretty terrible. This movie costs it said between 6 and 10 million to make, and it made 1.2 million. So
It bombed hard, eh?
whoo-wee. Yeah, for 1990, yeah, that's a lot of cake.
Well, and that's another thing that's spoken about is, in 1989, 1990, 10 million bucks and getting this done. Like, some people say that it's like a feat that they were able to get it looking this good for the low budget, like being ultra low budget. But
I agree, actually.
yeah, it's an interesting point.
Oh my God, super interesting, man. I mean, it's like, I see. So in most episodes, we high level a movie. I don't really know about any high level in this movie, but I will speak to it positively before I eviscerate it. I can certainly do that. And I mean, because there's some concepts in this movie that are cool, and I could see where they were going in a lot of places. And I also feel like if they had, if this movie had come out in a different year, meaning closer to the future than when it did, and if it had a little bit more money behind it, it could have been really cool.
Mm.
I mean, the concept itself is, it's not terrible. The whole idea of like, giant robot fight. It's like sending one warrior from each nation. I mean, that's sort of what the concept is. It's like, well, we won't have these wars. We'll just have one warrior from each nation, and they'll fight it out, and then that'll decide who does what.
Yeah.
And that's all well and good. And, the idea of putting giant robots in that sort of frame is fine. It's pretty cool, actually,
Dude, giant robots are like bacon. It goes on everything, pretty much. Like, you want to put a giant robot in that movie? Sounds good to me, man.
Yeah, people get really stoked about giant robots, I think, to the point where they don't even care what it is. They're just like, wait, what? Did you say giant robots? Oh, yeah, we got to get that in there,
Totally.
They get so excited they don't even realize that it might not fit in the particular film that they're talking about. So, and like Chad said, like the visuals are actually really good for the time and the budget, and the concepts of what the robots could do, is pretty interesting how, they kind of got outfitted before each fight, and there were secret weapons and all of that, and the chainsaw penis was definitely really funny.
It's pretty amazing.
Oh my God.
And I loved when his foot got knocked out, the Achilles robot, and then he turned into like a little tank kind of thing. That was kind of cool.
Yeah. My giant mech is sitting down now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm kneeling.
Because in order to get away from my enemy, I went into fucking outer space, got shot to shit, and then crash land belly flopped in the fucking same desert I took off from.
Literally the same spot.
So amazing. Like, it just got such a Superman vibe from him fucking launching himself into orbit, flying around like
my God.
playing a game of Chasey, and the dude gets his foot blown off. Oh my God, it was just so good.
It was such a nothing burger. Like, I was like, ooh, they're going into space. This might get interesting. No, it's already over. Fuck.
Yeah.
I really do love the the butt scoot mode of Achilles mech, though. That like my dog Henry used to like drag his ass on the floor, like,
yep,
with his front paws. It sort of reminded me of something like that.
So there's not a lot of crazy redeeming qualities about this movie, but like some of the effects, I could see where they were going, and like the mechs themselves in concept, at the very least, were pretty cool. The good guy robot had like some sort of Voltron-esque qualities to it, or really reminded me more of that giant jet from Transformers that I really liked a lot.
Yes.
Megatron!
Yeah.
It's Cobra Commander!
It's Starscream. I mean Cobra Commander. I mean Starscream.
It's Chris Lotter!
And I scream while I talk.
Oh, God. I'm like half on the motorcycle with you about the visual effects, and half like part of me like wants to sort of be like you know, like, oh, this plucky, scrappy film with the kind of shitty stop action, you know, visual effects, but there's something charming about it because it's like practical, and you know, we're so used to seeing like so much CG these days. So I almost want to give it that point, but at the same time, it's also exactly what Chad said. It's like, you know, 1978 visual effects from the first Superman movie in 1990. So like, what the fuck were they doing? Like, I don't know. I can't come down on either side there. It's like, it's the coin is flipping in the air and it's never going to come down.
Yeah, I kind of inhabit that space with you, brother. I could see both, you know.
Yeah. It's interesting that you frame it that way, Benny, because like I was thinking you might come down a little differently on it, where you say like, oh, you know, plucky upstart with the visual effects, but then the writing and the ridiculous, you know, story ruins it. Because like, you know, it's like, okay, giant mech fight, yeah, right on, the visuals, whatever, and then the next scene is like, I'm gonna jizz in a cup and give my DNA. He's like, I'm gonna make a direct deposit. It's just like, oh my fucking god,
So
what
terrible.
the fuck am I watching? Like, it's like the cringiest shit, and there's the fucking giant Tex dude with a fucking cowboy hat. Like, it's just like magnificent in its cringiness.
Oh man.
Yeah, there's the Japanese professor who's doing origami, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
What? Like,
The Japanese professor was not just doing origami. He was Sato from the Karate Kid Part 2, for Christ's sake. The sort of, you know, because the first Karate Kid was about LaRusso and his nemesis. And then the second movie take place in Okinawa, and it was about Miyagi's old nemesis, Sato. And his second he came on the screen, I was like, Miyagi.
I don't remember that. That's amazing.
That's like his main line in the Karate Kid Part 2.
wow.
He is very angry, and he speaks in an angry way. Miyagi.
Sounds like Mojo Jojo from the Powerpuff Girls.
He does sound like Mojo Jojo. Mojo Jojo.
Dude, he might be Mojo Jojo from the Powerpuff Girls, but he is Sato from the Karate Kid Part 2. I noticed it right away. And then, you know, I saw the origami. I was like, okay, here we go. He's doing
Dr. Matsumoto.
Yeah, like,
And Tex with his cowboy hat.
he's like, the director was like, let's throw in a nod to Blade Runner. The chief scientist does origami, and he's Japanese. And when Gary Graham gets hurt, he's going to have a Japanese Band-Aid on his head. And somebody was like, nice, I like it. Let's do it.
I'm in.
I'm in. Exactly.
Japanese Band-Aid. That's great. Oh
Well,
my
it
God.
did. It looked like the Japanese flag. I couldn't get it out of my head.
It did. It really, really did. It's perfect red circle on a white rectangle.
Exactly. That actor's name is Danny Kamekona.
Right on.
Wait, now I want to know what. Oh, he was in Magnum. Well, whatever. He was born in Hawaii. He's a Japanese American, so I'm not surprised he was in Magnum.
Magnum PI? Are you ejecting?
Oh no, dude! I've got a jetpack on, and I am just
You going into
hovering.
space to get your foot blown off?
No, I'm hovering above the world and the podcast. Whoa, hang on a second, folks. We'll get back to the nerdery in just a couple of minutes. We wanted to take a few moments and just thank everybody so much for tuning into our show. It certainly means the world to the three of us. Isn't that right, boys?
Hell yeah. We're loving the conversations that we've been having on various social media mediums. I've been having some really interesting chats with people on Instagram and Twitter and stuff, and wanted to say thanks for listening and thanks for putting in requests and giving us feedback. Please continue to do so.
Yes.
Yeah, we really appreciate the feedback. We really appreciate the suggestions. Really happy to hear that people are enjoying the show out there. But if you are, we would really love if you would share that with your friends. Tell them about us. Tell them about the show. Tell them about it on social media. It's really helpful to us, and we really want to grow the show. So thanks for pitching in and helping us out.
And now back to the show.
Well, it'd be worth circling back just to briefly touch on kind of the next chunk of the plot, where one thing we didn't touch on was that each of these Robot Jox fighters has to fight 10 bouts. And so the main dude, Achilles, is getting to the end of his career, and, it's not really worth getting into the finer points, but one of those test tube Gen Jock people is a girl who,
A woman
who Achilles sexually harasses into being into him, which is kind of the way things worked in the 80s, evidently.
Hello 90s, yeah.
Right? And it's just kind of it's such a like plain Jane plot, like I'm coming to the end of my thing, and here's this random group of young upstarts, and then there's the big text dude, and it's just the most cringy bullshit, and it's just it's almost glorious in its ridiculousness in a way.
It's very archetypal in terms of its character types,
Right. Yeah. Stereotypes.
Of course, yes. Of course there's an Asian scientist. Of course there's a big cowboy hat wearing Texas guy. I mean, come on.
And he's called Tex.
Yeah, exactly. Tex Conway.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Of course all of the Gen Jox have the similar, features in terms of being like, I don't know, Polynesian or something. And of course they all have Star Wars Padawan rat tails in skin-tight suits. And of course there's a scene where they're all sparring. The that sparring was just glorious, man.
I actually thought the sparring scene on the second watch, I was like, you know what, this is actually pretty good. Like the opening sparring scene, I was like, this isn't bad. And it's not terrible. Like, it's like some fairly cool moves in there. And like, is it? No, you don't agree?
This is another example of Kev digging into the details and be like, you know what? I kind of like that bit.
Yeah. I mean, no, it's just like like you're qualifying it, You're like, well, it wasn't that. It was okay. It wasn't that bad.
I actually had that as a note on the second watch through. I was like, you know what? This isn't that terrible. This is a pretty good fight choreograph. This little bit right here. Am I just reaching or what?
But then AC Slater from Saved by the Bell like picks another fight with him.
Slater from Saved by the... Oh my God. Wow. Nice. Very nice. Yeah. There you go. Secretly Mario Lopez.
Yeah, Mario Lopez picks another fight with him and is like, the fight's not over till it's over. It's just like, all right, dude. Just sparring, man. Chill out. I'm going to go drink mint juleps at the bar.
He was like, I'm gonna challenge you and show you that the Gen Jox are better than the regular jocks.
And then he falls off the monkey bars later and dies. Like it's just like a
totally,
huge
man.
Nothing burger, man. Oh, it's so good.
We call this the rattle room.
I'm not gonna talk much about it. Just make sure you don't die.
Like how does getting to the top of the monkey bars of doom qualify you as the best possible robot pilot? Like,
no idea.
Oh man, so silly.
Did you guys catch the bit where Achilles says he's not going to fight anymore, and his boss gets all pissed off and says, you can't even read your goddamn contract. He's like, I can't read, but I'm not dumb.
Oh my God, I wrote that down. Some of the best lines in the whole movie.
I thought that
in the future there will be illiteracy. Right?
I just thought it was like Achilles saying, like, misspeaking his lines, but I didn't realize the boss man was basically saying the same thing. So, like, subplot, Achilles can't read. Like, okay.
I can't read, but I'm not dumb.
It's so stupid.
There's so many fantastic one-liners in this, like unintentional one-liners.
Oh, most definitely.
I undressed you and I studied your body.
Oh my God, that was so cringy and weird. Like I loved how they made the Gen Jox out to be these kind of aliens, essentially. You know what I mean? In terms of like how they think. They were like, it was kind of, I have never seen a human before. I am unfamiliar with your anatomy.
It was like a Kung Fu Spock thing, man. It was totally trying to go for like
exactly, man. But like worse than that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then he's like, oh man, I thought he says something, and then he like kind of gets up awkwardly with the sheet.
He's just like, orange juice. I need orange juice.
Yeah, it was sort of awkward. I kind of got sidetracked too because it was just a weird, super cringy line in there when she was talking about examining his anatomy, and like a lot of like Anne Marie Johnson's question. Sorry, Athena. her questions are very like, I'm an alien that doesn't understand your strange ways. You know, like, why, why is the sky blue? Why do you put those garments on your body? You know, like, it was just kind of, it wasn't kind of, it was dumb.
Very, very dumb.
I mean, they were raised in test tubes. So what? So once they're done, you know, being in the test tube, it's like they grow up like regular babies. And it's like,
You would think.
well, you would think. It's not like they're isolated from the outside world. Like, why is she asking all these weird questions in this sort of, you know?
She's like Starman.
Yes.
Or like the mermaid from Splash or something.
Yeah. Daryl Hannah, yeah. Daryl Hannah combined with Jeff Bridges. Yep, I'm seeing that.
Red, stop. Green, go. Yellow, go very fast. We got to do that one someday, man. Jesus. Okay. So where were we going?
So to like attempt to keep this thing on fucking rails, Achilles quits, doesn't want to fight anymore because him and the crazy Russian dude who's like the tropiest, cold warriest dude ever.
Oh my God. Count Chocula?
Count, is that what you ever count Chocula?
You make my drink taste like blood.
But my blood is really chocolate milk. And I am a half German, half Russian. You will never be able to figure out where I'm really from.
2 of my legs are Russian and 2 are German.
That dude is incredible.
He's amazing.
Paul Koslo is that actor's name.
Yeah. That wow, what a performance.
Yeah. I was laughing in the beginning when you said I had 3 notes. One of them was Count Chocula. That in and of itself, just in a vacuum, was funny to me. I didn't realize why you were saying that.
Yeah.
Now it's even funnier.
So yeah, so he quits. He fights Count he fights Count Chocula. He quits. Count Chocula calls him a wussy, and then like he gets shit faced in a bar.
Going through drinks by letter of the alphabet.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, I totally get it now. He didn't know which way the alphabet went. Because at one point he's like, what's after I?
Oh,
G?
wow.
He couldn't read. I get it. Oh, wow. That makes the movie so much better.
It does, Chad. It actually elevates it to a great film.
You know, I really think Achilles needs a vulnerability. He's just too tough. What can we do? Maybe he's illiterate.
Yeah, that's it.
Perfect.
He's so much more relatable now.
That's why there's like weird origami buttons, because if they wrote what it did on the button, he wouldn't have a fucking clue what was going on. Like,
Oh, my
when you
God.
want to hit the starburst, press the giant paper star on your Joy-Con. It's like, okay. A lot of the like sets and his awesome Cybertruck hover car thing.
Oh my God.
The car was sick.
And the remote control bullshit.
It's like a reject prop from Blade Runner or something. Like
It was like, yeah, these are the Gen 1 spinners. What do you think? No way. We need something better than that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, we'll sell them to Robot Jox for $5.
It had like a 50s and 60s kind of Brave New World, everyone in like brutalist concrete residential blocks and shit kind of vibe to it, which was interesting.
No, totally, man. Definitely, man. Definitely. And everything was like angular. I loved, like, one of the mental notes I made was like how for some reason in the 80s and into the 90s, like the future always had to be angular. Like everything was like sharp and weird and like, you know what I mean? Like look at even like Total Recall, which came out around the same time as this movie actually. You know, like the cars were very trapezoidal in shape and like, you know, I don't know, like his personal car, like I thought the thing was cool. It was either that or I think it was like maybe they were trying to go in the opposite direction because in the 50s, everything that was futuristic had a very circular feel to it, right?
Yes, streamlined.
Yeah, streamlined. Like we commented on that in the
Everything had fins and was streamlined. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like we commented on that in that Bryan Cranston Electric Dreams episode we did on shorts. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know. I think actually his hover car might have been the exact same prop that was Benny's cab
in Total Recall.
In Total Recall, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It very well may have been.
I love the like car landing 3 shitty robot leg thing with like the fog machine. It's just so hilariously bad.
Wait, what do you mean? When his car landed?
Yeah, it's
it was
just like he's like, hey, can you go spray paint these 3 shoeboxes silver, and then we're gonna throw a couple of smoke bombs in, and you just like tie this thing to that boom over there and just lower it slowly. Okay, thanks. Action. Like, all right. It's just so bad. But I think the like 50s and 60s Brave New World stylings make it seem even older of a movie. Like the fact that like it touches on what we said before, where like the fact that this was 89 and not 79 just is like it blows my mind.
It's kind of baffling.
It really is.
When you consider like the visual effects that were in, for instance, if it came out around the same time, Total Recall, like
it's night and day.
There's a giant fucking difference there, yeah.
But it's like the guys are like, oh, we're gonna make this movie Robot Jox. Here's $10 million, and they're like, go into the basement of the studio and find the guys that worked on Buck Rogers and bring them up and have them work on this one. It's like nothing had changed, It's like they dusted off all the old dudes and got them working on exactly the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. And they just kept him in a box in the basement.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of Buck Rogers, there's definitely something about this that reminds me of like, 1980s Buck Rogers TV series. Like, I wouldn't have been surprised if like Tweaky came out of like, the closet somewhere and was like, beady, beady, beady. What's up, Achilles? Like Achilles' best buddy is like Hawk.
I have
Hawkman,
feathers for hair. Would you say hawk or bird person?
Bird person.
Total bird person, man. Yeah, so just quickly for reference, Total Recall came out in 90, and this came out in 89.
Yeah, and Total Recall evidently had a $65 million budget, so about 6 times the budget, but it's way more than 6 times better than this in terms of the film.
Yeah,
but you gotta admit they didn't do terrible for having 1/6 of the budget.
I guess, but like I recognize the technology is the barrier to entry to making a film today is way lower, but you look at a low budget film like Prospect and compare it to contemporaries, and it's not a very fair comparison, but
no, I get what you're saying, and I appreciate that. I think what I'm most upset about at the moment is that why I keep trying to elevate and defend this horrible movie.
Fair enough.
I keep saying things like that, like, oh, for that time, like they're doing pretty good. It's like, no, they're not. Just shut up.
This is a perfect segue into something I saw where the director, whose name was Stuart Gordon, and the writer Joe Haldeman, who is quite a famous sci-fi author.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he's a Hugo Award winner. He's a great sci-fi writer.
Yeah. Most well known, I think, for the Forever War, which was interesting, super interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But there was a great quote there where Joe Haldeman said he wasn't entirely happy with the end result of the movie, saying, "To me, it's as if I had a child who started out well and then sustained brain damage."
Ooh, ouch.
Ooh, that's a rough quote, bro.
It's very rough.
But I guess the two guys kept, butting heads together because Haldeman wanted it to be a bit more of a straight up and down traditional sci-fi, and the director Gordon wanted it to be more schlocky and kid friendly, and so.
Oh, I see.
He obviously won but it's funny because the guy says like, Haldeman wanted an adult movie that kids would enjoy, and I wanted to make a kids movie that adults would enjoy. But if you're trying to make a kids movie with the whole like jizz in a cup, sexual harassment, like, I mean, it was a pretty non-kid friendly movie, man. You know what I mean?
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not. You can't talk about. You can't talk about semen in a kids movie. Okay.
It's generally frowned upon,
generally.
Just a blanket, no semen policy.
You certainly shouldn't make a comment about direct deposits after female Christopher Walken hands you a sample jar, you know? I mean,
Yeah. And be like, nah, I'm making it for the kids. It's like, hey, no, dude, no.
how about we skip the middleman and make a direct deposit?
Yeah, clearly the director here had watched over the top a few too many times if he's comfortable with that kind of creepiness.
No, you gotta say that. You gotta say it like Tex. Wait, or did Tex say that line? I think he did.
No, it was Achilles.
Oh, it was Gary. It was Gary Graham.
It was Gary Glitter.
Gentlemen, we need your raw material.
For the archives.
Yes, for the for the archives. Right?
Come on, that is funny. Like,
It's definitely funny.
It needs nothing else.
No, it doesn't. She's wearing like a smock from like a 1989 like grocery store as well. You know what I mean? Like she was
Paper or plastic?
she was sort of like the like the Haba. She was
I
like
work in the produce section.
she was the Haba manager. You know what I mean? Like she was probably the Haba manager, Ben. See, Ben's howling because he knows exactly what that means.
I work in health and beauty aids.
Health and beauty aids, also known as Haba. Yeah, so anyway, raw material, just super weird, whatever. Grocery smock, yeah.
So this director...
Raw material.
Yeah, raw material. This director dude evidently wrote Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah, I read a little bit about him too. He also did Re-Animator, which is definitely a cult classic. People love that movie.
I don't know if I've ever seen that one.
Yeah, he made a bunch of movies, and he also Honey, I Blew Up the Kids, I think too. So like it wasn't like he was just a B movie director. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he did some pretty legit work, and he'd also did some work in theater as well, which I was really surprised to see. But he was kind of like an experimental theater, experimental film kind of guy. You know what I mean? Always trying to push the boundaries.
Well, he pushed my fucking boundaries.
Yeah, he really pushed the boundary on this one. The thumbs up fist bump, that never took off as a social thing.
No, never.
I think that the guy that invented the thumbs up fist bump in this was trying to do what you were trying to do, Benny, with the Big Trouble hand thing. Just didn't work.
No doubt.
No doubt. And then the guy that started doing the fist bump, like, whatever, 5-10 years ago, that is now ubiquitous. That guy was like sitting around one day with a friend, and he was like, back in the 80s, they used to do this thumbs up fist thing that never really took off. And I always thought it was kind of cool, but the thumbs up kind of bothered me. Let's try it without the thumbs. And then they did, and his buddy was like, I think you're onto something, bro.
That felt pretty good, man. That felt good.
Yeah, that felt, you know what?
Felt good.
That felt good, man. Let's keep doing that.
Mind if I steal that?
Yeah, right.
The robot engineer guy that sees you into the thing just kept insisting that it should be a one-way ass slap, though.
Oh, yeah, he was super into that.
It's like,
Crash and burn Achilles. Wait a minute, that didn't feel like Achilles' ass. Who is that?
I know, right? I don't know if it's too soon for this, but like I could not. I mean, immediately leapt into my mind the second I saw like the public at large. I was like, oh, so there's coronavirus in the future as well because everybody's wearing a freaking 3M mask.
yeah. Here's the thing. I almost didn't notice it. I was like, oh, this looks normal. Like, you know what I mean?
That's weird, man.
Yeah, it's really weird.
I know. I found right at the beginning of the pandemic, I found a sleeve of like 10 3M masks in my truck, my old work truck, and I kept 3, and then I went into the future and gave the rest to all of the people in the Robot Jox.
And it turns out you wasted them because they got crushed by a giant robot.
Exactly. That was the real tragedy.
It really was.
What are they? The bleacher bums, man.
Is that what they called them?
Something like that. It's like, oh, those schmucks. Yeah, they died. So
Yeah, it's
what?
like, yeah, who cares about them anyway, right? You know, what else I found interesting was like a lot of the tech people. All right, should we spend some time on the fashion? Like
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I wrote as a note, tracksuits, motorcycle helmets, oh my. And everything, like, why is it in the future, like, in so many science fiction, everything is like jumpsuit, tracksuit, one piece based clothing. I don't understand where the hell that came from, but you've seen it in so many movies, and, we get it straight away from the beginning of this movie. It's like, the sexy, shiny sateen sleeveless jumpsuits, the baggier jumpsuits, that they put red tape over to make stripes on it. Like, it was just ridiculous, man, Everybody's wearing a jumpsuit except the referees, who are wearing doctor's coats that they've colored black stripes in with a freaking Sharpie, dude. You know what I mean? Because those coats go all the way down to like their knees. So weird.
I feel like the jumpsuit thing came straight from THX 1138. Was there earlier movies that did that kind of thing?
I always felt like THX, they were wearing like psych ward gear. Everybody looked like they had just walked out of like a padded room. You know what I mean? I could be wrong. I haven't seen THX in like forever.
No, it's all like white jumpsuits, but
Yeah, right.
In the future, there will be jumpsuits.
Yeah. So, Stuart, what do you see for this film? What's your vision, as it were? Well, the way I see it is it's the future, and I see everybody wearing some sort of one-piece suit, a jumpsuit or a tracksuit or a sleeveless tracksuit or a sleeveless jumpsuit of some kind. And I also imagine that 3M masks and paper hats. Those paper hats that everybody wears when you go to the drive-in and you get a burger and fries? Those types of paper hats. I feel like everybody would wear those paper hats as well as motorcycle helmets. I feel like everybody will be wearing motorcycle helmets in the future.
But Beardsley, can they be silver?
Beardsley?
Yeah, it sounded like, old English name. I don't know.
He's like, interesting.
Silver, yes.
I'm prepared to give you $6 to $10 million to make this science fiction epic. Here you go.
Beasley, old chap, do you reckon we should have some spandex?
I could not get over the paper hats. The paper, like, I'm, working at McDonald's. I'm working at a burger stand. That was great.
To keep your hair from falling in the food.
Falling in the computer components.
To keep your 1990s Christopher Walken hairdo. How about all the hairdos, man? Holy shit, those hairdos were fantastic.
Fantastically terrible, yeah.
Yeah. What can you really say?
Yeah, Anne-Marie Johnson's hair was just taking the cake, man. I mean, she was a big, like, I don't know if you guys even know who she is, but she's been in a ton of movies. She's actually pretty accomplished as an actress. She was on What's Happening back in the 80s and a whole slew of movies, man, and TV shows, whatever. But, like, she definitely rocked the kind of, like, she was one of those women that rocked the short hair kind of 80s style, as like a thing. And I feel like she had that in a lot of her films, but somehow this particular short hair hairstyle takes it to a new level altogether, and not a good one. Especially with the braided rat tail at the back, the Padawan tail. It was just, ugh.
Yeah, it's the rat tail thing, but there's also sort of like the poofy, like, it's like if their hair was white, it would look like, foppy, like, 1700s kind of like,
yeah, totally.
Like powdered wiggy sort of looking things. Like, yeah, I don't know who thought that was a great idea, but
who thought powdered wigs were a great idea?
it was just that style, that. Yeah,
I don't understand. I can't even wrap my head around powdered wigs. Like, that is just the most bizarre thing ever.
I think this is gearing up to be one of the best cul-de-sacs ever. We could either just like nip it in the bud right now or go off on like a 20-minute powdered wig cul-de-sac and just like, let's just fucking commit to it.
Powdered wigs from Robot Jox.
What's up with powdered wigs anyways?
syphilis.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the deal with the powdered wigs?
Ba-doop-a-doop-doodle-doo.
Oh man. So, anyways, powdered wigs.
Okay, so powdered wigs. I'm gonna move on from powdered wigs, and the announcer, sort of I don't know if he was like the announcer or the newscaster who was sort of reporting. No, it was the announcer during the match.
This is a double elimination match.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a double elimination tournament.
Can you do that? Can you do that like Bill Paxton really quick?
Do what? Double elimination tournament like
Bill Paxton. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a double elimination tournament. It's not even. I don't even feel like that's a good Bill Paxton. You guys love it though.
It was terrific. It's great. Good enough.
Anyway, so what I was getting at was it was the announcer during the match, right? All right, so the not the opening titles match, but the first one with Gary Graham. Like at one point, he's like, "The referees are coming in on their floater. They've disabled the long range weapons. Now it's man to man." Like in the most sensual way that I found very disturbing. Like, did either of you catch that?
Mike, Jox sleeping, they're robots. It's totally normal.
Chainsaw penis. What?
Yeah, exactly.
Chainsaw
Right.
penis.
So, like, the refs have disabled the long range weapons. Now it's man to man. I was like, wow, that is super weird.
I did kind of catch that. I like it.
In the beginning, in that training scene, the fight training scene that I was trying to sell the two of you on, that was actually pretty good.
This is really good.
Yeah.
It
was okay.
You know what? I like that.
It wasn't so bad. It
was my favorite bit.
One of the Gen Jocks says to one of the other Gen Jocks when they're fighting Gary Graham, he goes, "Get him, Sargon!" And I was like, Sargon? Is that a futuristic name? Like, I didn't understand. Like
Sargon.
Sargon, is that like Saruman's brother? Or Zardoz's cousin? You know what I mean? Like,
Jesus.
This is such a terrible name. Zardoz. This is my cousin, Sargon.
Was that AC Slater or somebody else?
I do not know. No, I don't know. I think AC Slater might have been Sargon.
Maybe. What about Gary Glitter being in Alien Nation, the late 80s fucking legendary TV show about weird alien heads?
Based on the movie?
Did the show come before the movie or I don't even remember.
On the film?
The film.
No. The film came out first, starring James Caan and Mandy Patinkin, and I loved the film. Yeah, and Terrence Stamp was in that as well. You know who else was in that was Bryan Johnson, who played the Night Stalker. In Cobra.
I thought you were going to say Brian Greenwood. Sorry.
No, you mean Bruce Greenwood.
Bruce Greenwood.
No, that was Bruce Greenwood was still in his sort of guardsman number 8 phase of his career.
Yeah, exactly.
Bryan Johnson, was he in the Beach Boys?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bryan Johnson from the Beach Boys. Sorry, Brian Thompson, Ben. You're right.
Wait, the Beach Boys were in this?
The Beach Boys. So Brian Thompson was in the original Alien Nation. Anyway, so then they moved it to a series because, I don't know, like I feel like the movie was like pretty popular. It was definitely good. I loved it. But they made a series out of it, and it starred Gary Graham in the in the James Caan role.
Gary Glitter.
And then I can't remember the other actor's name in the Sykes role. Not the Sykes role, the alien role. So
Mandy Patinkin role, yeah.
Yeah, right. So they did that show actually ran for quite a while. It was like 90 to 94. And then they did four television movies, Alien Nation television movies. So it was definitely popular. And that's what Gary Graham is most famous for no doubt.
I know I brought this subject up, but can I unsubscribe from the podcast?
Oh my God.
When podcasts implode.
Sorry.
I love how off the rails this has gone.
I do too.
The answer is no.
No, you can't.
You can't.
I don't even. Who the hell brought up Gary Graham being on Alien Nation anyway?
That was me. It was my fault.
Oh, right. Yeah, it was. I love when you do that. It's your fault.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, let's raise a glass of sour milk.
Ew.
Yes,
And for Christ's sake, stay away from the goddamn ocean.
that's right. Tex.
My God.
Good God, man. That is the gotta be. I know we already sort of touched on this, but it has gotta be the tropiest, tropetastic, prototropiest, tropathon trope character in the history of TV and film. Is it not?
Yeah. It's also the only departure from the fashion of the movie is that fucking cowboy hat.
It's Texas big old cowboy hat. You got me there, buddy. You got me.
And he's in like a giant Evil Knievel onesie kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And then like he has a line in the very beginning, which I wrote "huh" at the end of it because I still don't understand it. He's like, after he's like, "Well, it's good old Tex here, little buddy. How's everybody doing?" And somebody says something and he goes, "Well, soil is just dirt. All the rest of the team is dead."
Wait a minute. I like this movie now. I
I know, right?
I'm going back just for that line.
I forgot that one. I think this is a great moment to touch on Tex's outro, his rage quitting the movie. As it turns out, he's the traitorous spy the whole time, and when they bust him, he's just like, "I did it."
Didn't see that coming.
He's like, "I'll see you hang for this. I'll see you in hell," and then just jumps out a window. Geronimo.
Yeah.
Wait, Ben, exactly. Did you notice that the scream kept going after there was a very audible sound of a body hitting the floor?
Yes.
I'm not dead yet.
Whatever he says right as they sort of figure him out. "Oh, you got me good, buddy. You figured me out." I was like,
Yeah.
God.
Hot damn, I did it.
Yeah. He was kind of like a foghorn leghorn of the future.
Totally.
If Foghorn was in human form. You know what I mean? Like it was just so tropey and stupid, man.
If we ever end up getting an Everybody Dies big rig a la Over the Top, we need to have Tex mud flaps in the back of our truck instead of Foghorn Leghorn mud flaps.
Oh my God, you just gave me the best idea ever, man. What if we get a big rig, right? And it's just like the Lincoln Hawk one.
Tex mud flaps would be great merch.
Totally, with Tex mud flaps and a big brute thing on the side. And then we convert the inside, the cargo carrier, to our own mobile studio. And we're kind of like, Devin Knight from Knight Rider, what's his face from Contact, where we're constantly traveling around. Like we never stop. There's only the cab, and then somebody has to sleep on the top of the truck at night.
I call never middle.
I call working out on the front bumper.
What about when Tex gets discovered by Matsumoto, he does something similar as well. Like that whole scene, the whole recording thing was just redonkulous, man.
Yeah.
He's like, "Wait, every man has two men inside him. And once there was a child inside of Tex that was just Tex. And somewhere inside you is that child that was Tex that was a child that is Tex. So you must remember that." And in no way does he ever think that he's stalling him so he can record it. He actually sits there and he's like, "You may have a point there, buddy, but I'm going to shoot you anyway."
And now I don't like the movie anymore.
Now he hates the movie. Ben, there was a spark of hope there for Ben.
I was like, ooh, I'm in. I like it now. No, I don't like it anymore.
What's with the prenatal signs everywhere? It looks like they spent a large portion of budget for prenatal posters.
Prenatal. That's how people read vertically in the future.
Oh, fair enough.
Oh, right. If they can read it all.
In chunks of letters. Yeah.
Because the hook, the crippling hook, Ben, as you said, is illiteracy. the Achilles heel, as it were. What?
Oh my God! Did you just say that?
I did.
I am assassinating you right now.
That is a death, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. I'll take that death because there are no deaths in this show so far, so we need to take
No,
that.
I died by bringing up Alien Nation and then wanting to quit my own podcast because of how boring it was.
Of how bored you got.
Yeah.
Okay, prenatal posters. Don't understand why those are everywhere. It was super weird. There was a lot of weird pregnant women posters all over the place. I just could not figure that one out.
I didn't get any of that. The whole, like, everyone's breeding to breed new Robot Jox.
Yeah.
But the Robot Jox are genetically engineered tubies. Like, I don't...
Yeah, but, like, when he goes and has dinner at his sister-in-law, she's like, we're doing our bit for the cause, you know? And, like, I got the vibe that it's like they're breeding Robot Jox. But, like, if each jock has to do 10 fights and everyone's trying to get a person into that just doesn't make any fucking sense.
It doesn't make any sense. And then she's also like, if we have 6 children, we get 3 bedrooms or something like that. I was like, what? I love, like, futuristic communication devices from the 80s are the absolute best. And this one is no exception. It's a full-on regular cordless telephone with a TV. Like, you hang it up, you hang the handset up right next to the TV.
The TV. You have to pick the phone up to talk on the TV.
And so they're getting like hate phone calls at his sister-in-law's house. You know what I mean? Like she's like, well, we got some real meat this time. We got one single hot dog. I found it on the ground outside.
Bring. Hello? Achilles is a jerk. Oh, my goodness. It's so disturbing.
Okay, my last 2 notes are this. When Gary Graham is getting hammered via the alphabet that he doesn't even know how to recite, you know, the bartender's like, you look like a pretty drunk guy. And then they cut to Gary Graham, and I'm like, he couldn't look more sober. Like, he did not look intoxicated in any way, shape, or form. I mean, agree? Disagree?
I'm on that motorcycle just for the sake of conversation. Yep.
just for the sake of getting this show over, I'm on board
I'm with you,
that.
man.
Terrific acting.
That bartender was the best actor of the whole show, man. Regulations don't allow me to serve drunk people, so I can't serve you anymore, Achilles.
The bartender was the director.
Was it really?
No.
Yes.
Oh my god, I love that.
Yeah. One of the little nuggets I picked up. Yeah.
I fucking love that, Benny. Hey, Kev, that right there, that's how you nugget, my friend.
Oh my God. I was just thinking that exact thing. Like, I was listening to First Blood yesterday, and I loved that part.
Bruce Greenwood.
All right, so my final note is, Ben, I think you'll really be able to appreciate this in particular, is I feel like, again, this is another kind of trope throughout terrible science fiction films in the 80s. Like, why is it when people are like, it's the future, we want to have a dancing scene at a bar with some music? Well, the music's got to be futuristic. So, well, how do you make futuristic music? Well, you use the shit out of the pitch bender. Like, what is up with that, man? You know, it's like...
Oh my God.
You know, like, yeah, you had the pitch bender on the Casio keyboard, and then, you know, obviously you can get, you know, better ones for real music. But, like, I just feel like every single time they tried to do some sort of futuristic movie music in these terrible movies, it was like, all right, well, we'll just take the pitch bender and just work it up and down a little bit. Then it'll sound weird and futuristic. It's like, yeah, okay. But it really just sounds like shit.
Yeah, no, and the that pan shot and the dancing that's going on there is just
amazing,
priceless,
stellar.
It really is.
Stellar.
And there's a bit of ADR sprinkled in there too, where like the dancer's like,
oh yeah,
crash it, burn, while doing like some random like freaking flash dance.
And I believe that's also the only instance in the film where people aren't wearing some sort of tracksuit-esque clothing.
Some kind of spandex onesie.
Oh my God. I'm so like, this movie sucks. I can't wait to not talk about it anymore.
It was
I'm
funny,
sick
man.
I'm sick of trying. I'm sick of acting.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I was going to have to do this much acting today.
Said everyone in this movie. All right, well, let's move on to Tex kills himself and fucking Gary Glitter saves the day. He pulls the girl out, they make out, he goes into fucking space, he turns into a tank, and then for whatever reason at the end he's like, we don't have to die, and they do the thumbs up fist bump to close the movie, because that made sense.
Gary Glitter and Count Chocula, buddies forever.
Yeah. We brushed this, no pun intended, but we brushed across this at one point, but we need to talk about the chainsaw dick.
Well, what do you want to talk about? I mean, the evil robot has a chainsaw penis. It's
Yeah.
so stupid. It's
so great and stupid, but like I just love how like one of the major themes in this is like every bout has to have a secret weapon, and I just love the idea of some Confederation guys being like, if you randomly happen to pin a robot that's on tank treads down on the ground in a very random thing, push this sausage button and a chainsaw dick will fly out and kill it, and you'll win the battle and we'll get Alaska. It's just like, all right. I just love.
Alexander, I have great idea. We make a chainsaw penis.
I just love like how like they're all so like, I don't know, Russians seem to typically be very low key in like an impressed kind of way, like in their speech patterns, you know, but like the Germans are always so like freaking amped up, like in so many different movies, including this one. That's where like that component comes from, you know. I don't know, that was sort of the vibe I was getting, but like
we've come up with the greatest idea. The secret weapon for this one is a giant chainsaw penis in the middle of the machine.
That's really what I was thinking about more.
Oh, there's a little bit of just a touch of our buddy
Werner Herzog.
Werner Herzog. Yes, thank you. There's just a touch there.
We've come up with the most wonderful idea. It's a chainsaw penis that comes out of the middle of his penis.
So when the other mech goes into dog dragging its ass on the floor mode.
It's so funny that you bring up Werner Herzog, because in my random YouTube search for this, there's a video called Werner Herzog on Robot Jox, and I was like, oh, please, God. And I clicked on it thinking that it was actually Werner Herzog talking about Robot Jox.
That's not real.
It's real, but it turns out it's a dude doing Werner Herzog talking about Robot Jox. So I was really, really hoping it was actually Werner Herzog. Oh, it would have been just priceless.
That would have been priceless for sure.
Nuggets, man. Nuggets. You guys got nuggets?
I already dropped the one that I had.
The main nugget I have is that this guy, Stuart Gordon, directed, and I could not believe it when I saw it, Space Truckers.
Yes.
Oh, my.
Perfect.
Which is sort of become legendary, even though none of us have seen it, but we are going to talk about that movie at some point soon.
And it's going to be as bad as this one, probably.
Probably. The only other nugget I had was, it's sort of a nugget. Jeffrey Combs is in this, and he had, okay, you know who he is. So pretty sure he played the title role in the Re-Animator that was done by Stuart Gordon. And he was also, I don't know if this is exactly right, but he is one of the most sort of prolific actors in the Star Trek universe. So like he's done, I think it's more roles or characters than any other actor. He's played characters on it. Mainly it was on DS9 was his main thing, but he's played Ferengi characters on TNG and Klingons, and like he's done like everything in the Star Trek universe. And he's a really great actor too. So I just thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, final nugget. Sorry.
Bonus nugget.
Ooh.
Yeah. Spectator number 6 is this really great actor, Bruce Greenwood. Do you guys know who that is?
No, who's that?
Well, he played, funnily enough, he played Admiral Pike in the Star Trek reboot. So
I see.
I just thought that was kind of interesting. Anyway, deaths, there were only 2 recorded, and
I've got nuggets, you dick. You're going to skip me out of my own fucking segment?
Oh, I thought you said you didn't have any at the beginning. Sorry, dude.
No, I've got nuggets. God damn it.
Oh, Chad's angry.
Break it up, boys. Break it up.
I love how he fell asleep in the middle of his own show this time. And then he wakes up and he's all angry. Dude, what about my nuggets?
Hey, I got nuggets. All right, so the bleacher bum spectators that die a horrible death by having a giant robot fall on them scream, and that scream was sampled by Nine Inch Nails in The Becoming on the Downward Spiral.
Wow. That's a good one.
And my final nugget is that this movie was almost a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie.
What?
He was almost cast as Achilles.
Oh my God. I'm trying to imagine that right now. And that's
Him doing like a moonwalk, but like doing splits. You know there would have been a robot split.
Oh, totally, man. Splits and every movie with Van Damme, it's all about his buns.
I want to see a giant robot split right now.
Well, they would have had no trouble explaining away his accent, which I can't remember where he's from. Belgium?
He's from the Belgian Highlands. Yes.
Ancient donut recipe from the Belgian Highlands.
I'm blueberry.
Well, we've already got Count Chocula in this, Ben. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, what?
having batting Blueberry is, seems par for the course. All right, next nugget, Chad. Sorry.
That's it. I got the two. Nine Inch Nails and Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Those are good. Those are good for sure.
And blueberry.
I will say, not really a nugget, but the guy that did play Tex he was a pretty prolific TV actor in the 70s and the 80s, and he had a pretty big part on V, the miniseries, which I was a humongous fan of when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Don't know it.
And I got to say, as another side note to that, like, I cannot believe that series went nowhere when they rebooted it. It was a real shame.
What's V? I've never heard of that.
And you're dead.
And you're
Why
dead.
am I dead?
Are you serious? You don't know what V is, or were you making a joke?
I've never heard of V. What's V?
Yeah, it was like an 80s miniseries about alien invasion.
No, I don't know.
Coming in the guise of friends, and then like they were disguised, but they were like reptilian, and they wore like human disguises, and
They were eating people.
yeah, it was really, really good, man. And Mark Singer was sort of the lead on that.
You mean the Beastmaster?
Yes, Beastmaster was the lead on that. But this guy that played Tex Conway is I can't remember what his name is, Jonathan Aldridge or Sam Aldridge, but he had a pretty major role in that. Anyway, whatever.
Anyway, whatever.
Deaths. Anyway, whatever, exactly. Deaths was Chad died not caring about alienation after he brought it up or something like that.
Not caring about my own subject, my own topic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, my death was Achilles related. Something about Achilles.
I'm pretty sure I was DOA. Like,
You were, well, you might have been DOA,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. What do we rate this turd Ferguson?
I think that this one's getting the lowest rating I've ever given a movie.
Ooh.
That's not to say I hated it. It's just to say that it's not that great.
Really? Wow.
I enjoyed it. Like, I got a good laugh out of it. And like the first 10 minutes, I was like, oh God, I remember this being way better. And then the rest of it, I had a good time. Like, I enjoyed just how terrible it was. It doesn't get to be so bad it's good. Like, it was definitely so bad it's bad, but I definitely had a good time. I was cracking up at the ridiculousness. And I think Benny comparing it to a Mystery Science Theater movie is great, because that's exactly the caliber of film.
mm-hmm.
Yes.
I wanted this to be better than Star Wars Rise of Palpatine, but there's no way. It's currently at the bottom of the algorithm with a 1.9.
Ouch.
Wow.
I think like if you get less than a 1 on my algorithm, it's like I actively hate it and I'm like actively trying to bring about the downfall of anyone involved with it. Like, that's like just like 10s or legendaries, like something below a 1 is just, it's pretty legendary on the other end of the spectrum. So
Sure.
it's not a bad movie, but it's definitely not a good movie. It's not even a borderline movie. It's a bad fucking movie, but it's pretty funny, man. I enjoyed it enough to watch it that one time, and I'll probably revisit it again with my kid when he's 15 or something.
Yeah, I just like that somebody suggested that we did this. I really enjoyed doing a listener request that was a film that really only Chad kind of vaguely remembered from his childhood. So that part of it was fun for me too.
To be fair to Ven23, I definitely got the vibe he was saying, like, it's worth being eviscerated, and had similar kind of, like, childhood fondness, to it, but I don't think anyone would claim that it's a good movie now. It was more of just a fun movie to beat the hell out of.
And beat the hell out of it we did.
You guys, what do you think?
2, and I feel like I'm being generous.
2 out of 5 or 10?
2 out of 100. 2, just 2. 2 out of 10, man. I mean, it has a couple of concepts that are kind of cool. I'll give it that. So I'll bump it to a 2. But yeah, this is just bloody awful, man. And I, see capable actors like Anne-Marie Johnson and Gary Graham in this movie, and he's just like, what in the world happened? Even Aldridge, the guy that played Tex, and Matsumo and Sato, you're like, what in the world happened here? Did everybody need a paycheck or what?
Yeah, I love 2. I think I'm going to go with 1.5.
Chainsaw dicks.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna fire up the. Whatever you want it to be, I'm not even going to fire up the improbability drive for this one. It's just
not cool enough to fire the improbability drive. That is a major,
Ouch,
major turning point on the show.
It's 1.5 chainsaw dicks, man. Come on.
Yeah, sure. That's what you said. Or, or rat tail, ponytail, fop hairdos, or, blood flavored drinks, or, mint juleps, or.
No, I would go with 1.5 sleeveless sateen one-piece jumpsuits. You just sounded like Jeltz when you did that, Ben. That was great.
All right, everybody. That's 1 hour for lunch. I think I'll have 2 today.
Oh, my goodness. Algorithm, what are we doing next week?
We're going to cleanse our palate with a Carl Urban spectacular of Dread.
Ooh, one of our favorites here on the show. So stay tuned for that next week, folks. And beyond that, thank you for joining us on this quest. And that's all I'm going to say. Catch you on another time.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
And that is going to wrap up this week's episode, folks. If you'd like to support the show, there's a number of great ways you can do that. You can rate us, review us on iTunes, Pocket Casts, Podcast Republic, wherever you get your podcast muffin tops. You can also tell someone to check out the show, as word of mouth is the best way to spread the word. You can ask us questions via our email, contact@ebd.fm. Also on Twitter, AskEBD, that hashtag. You can find me at Mulverine on Twitter. Ben is at Jarhigo on Twitter, and Chad is at ChadNormal on Twitter. I'd like to thank everybody so much for tuning into the show. You can find the show notes for this episode in your podcast app of choice, or at our website, ebd.fm/episodes/60. Thanks so much for tuning in for this epic episode, folks, and we'll see you next time.
Sargon.
Sargon.
Beady, beady, beady. Stop into it.